The C. Brown Arts Center, nestled in busy downtown Jesup, Iowa. The town named for Morris Ketchum Jesup, president of the Dubuque and Sioux City Railroad.
Amongst many other things.
Alongside producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber, I'm Jim Gillespie. This is the Jesup News for August 9th, 2026. Some advice before we start the show.
Oh, advice is always good.
Advice from Winston Churchill. Never give in. Never, 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 never. Great or small, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to apparently overwhelming mighty of the enemy.
Right. So why don't our people in Washington, D.C. know that?
Because they're getting a lot of money from people there.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's greed. Greed is the worst thing, and greed is what brings the whole thing collapsing. So like the Midas touch or the golden eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, greed ruined it all, and so.
I'm convinced the two most important things in life right now might be joy and light. Not happiness, joy and light. And you can take the light as religion if you want to. The joy and the light.
Yeah. I heard someone talking, they said in Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
And this was the very first time a government was going to be concerned with people being happy. Never before had that been a concern of the government of any country, that the people were happy. I thought, well, that's kind of interesting to think about.
It is.
And it doesn't say you're going to be happy, but it's going to allow you to pursue it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I'm convinced, I used to say happiness. I'm convinced it is joy. Because you cannot always be happy, but you can always be joyful.
Yeah. That song, happiness to the world, that just doesn't go well. See, but joy to the world, that's, yeah. So.
Also, check out the podcast, What Is Up, with our friend Bubba Seaman. On that podcast, they talk about everything with everyone. Nothing is off the table, discussing real life with real people. The good and the bad, the highs and the lows, and everything funny in between. It's an interesting yet entertaining podcast with real people talking about what is up. So, Dale, you've got an interesting topic today, so I'll let you start with that topic.
Okay. First, I'm going to start off and ask you, what one thing do you think you will be remembered for?
I've went through this a lot in my life. I believe in that. I believe that your last day is your final monument. Living stay as if it were last. I've worked real hard to get together with a former student at least once a week. I'm fortunate to get together with Blake every week, but not just Blake. I try to get together with a different student every week. And the educational friendships, the joy that comes with that is important to me. So I'd like that to be probably my monument.
Well, the gist of this is this man met a 90-year-old lady who had lived next door to his great-grandfather. And he asked her, what one thing do you remember about my great-grandfather? And she thought for a long time, and then she said, well, he ate peas. He ate peas with a knife. That was it. That was it. And so he says, there's always, was he just messing around to amuse a child? Or were all the forks gone, and so he only had a knife? Or, no reason at all. But that was the one thing she remembered. And so they finished the article with said, the one thing most people would describe themselves as is unlikely to be the same as what those who know or have encountered them will remember. Over the course of a lifetime, we all have millions of chances to leave impressions of one thing to thousands of people, but we have very little control over what will be impactful, remembered, interpreted, and retold. And maybe that is the lesson. We all have a chance, maybe many chances, to do one more thing. Maybe the one today is the one they will remember forever. You've heard stories of the pious minister, the loving little grandmother, who's end up in a nursing home, their brain just kind of shattered, and they swear constantly and talk, ribald stories and this sort of thing. And that wasn't them at all. They lived a whole long life and never been that way. But when they were in their last days, their mind was gone.
Right.
And they said they didn't know Grandma knew that many swear words and this sort of thing. And so that's what they remembered, see?
Yeah.
Those very last things. And the idea that every day you have a chance with lots of people to make a memory that they will remember, something they will remember you by, instead of something else in your past, perhaps, that they encountered with you. And so, I don't know. There was a kid, I didn't get along with him really well, but I think we were in junior high school, and I had a good arm, and so I was throwing fly balls to the kids at recess. And one kid, there was a bus parked out there. One kid got up on the hood of the bus and throw one up here to me. Well, I throw it to him, and he was going to catch it, but then it went over his head because he wasn't judging it right, and broke the windshield of the bus.
Oh.
So everybody scatters pretty much.
Yeah, I bet they did.
But the one kid I least expected came over and put his arm around me and said, "Here," he said, "I'll go with you to the superintendent's office."
Oh, wow.
And so so that's how I remember him. He did some other things that weren't very nice. But that's, he stood up for me, and we were not real close friends, but he stood up for me and went in, and the superintendent yelled a little bit. Then he went out and looked at it and said, "Well, we'll take care of it." So nothing really bad happened. But none of my friends, said, "Hey, I'll go in with you and stand by it." So, so you remember things like that. This article kind of came a week or so before. There was another article about Tony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, who had a bad time in front of the Senate.
Before you go to Dr.
Yes.
Fauci, I have a question for you, Dale. In sociology, there is the I self, me self. And you talked about it. You didn't use the sociological phrase. But the I self is how you see yourself.
Yeah.
The me self is how people see you. Mm-hmm. How do you want to be remembered? I self or me self? How you see yourself or how people see you?
Well, it's hard to know how people do see you. Do they laugh at my little jokes with really say, "God, that he shouldn't be telling those kind of things," or I just like to make people happy. I like to make people laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like to start up conversations with strangers, like the woman checking out the groceries or the clerk in the store or whatever. Sometimes you just have a minute, but you can say something to maybe perk up their day a little bit, or something they're not expecting to hear. And so I guess I kind of like to be remembered that way, as a guy who would say the unexpected thing, and it was humorous or whatever. And so I don't know. I don't want to be the person, every time he comes in here, the temperature drops 20 degrees and everybody leaves being, I hate the world. I hope I could pep people up a little bit.
Right.
And so I guess that's how I hope to be remembered. Doing errands with Deb one time, and she just sat in the car, but she could see the storefronts right in front of us through the window. And after 2 or 3 stops, she every time you come out of those stores, those people are laughing. What do you tell them? I don't know, but it's just why be a sourpuss?
That's
I guess.
right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well.
All right, forgive me. Dr. Fauci.
That's all right. It gave me a chance to think about that. But these. And I guess the Republicans on that committee are really after him. And I'm afraid he's going to be remembered for his committee hearing. I don't know if he'll get another chance to talk to anybody or not. But tons of people. This is the Stefano Bertuzzi. He's CEO of the American Society for Microbiology. And he talks about Dr. Fauci. And he says his career was built on evidence, intellectual rigor, and an unwavering commitment to improving people's lives. That record is documented in the scientific literature, reflected in countless advances in medicine and public health, and measured in millions of lives. And he says Fauci's scientific research, by all accounts and measures, was the gold standard. He did it right. And yet, these people who do not understand, apparently, anything about how the science was done are after it. This is the AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition. Say they're dismayed and disturbed by Fauci being subpoenaed in pursuit of questionable allegations. We implore the committee to cease its erroneous investigations and harassment of renowned scientists and public servants such as Dr. Fauci, whose career, track record, and devotion to public health research and development has changed the very course of the HIV epidemic at home and abroad. Many medical and public health professionals praised Fauci's work throughout the pandemic. One lady said that Fauci had her working 80-hour work weeks as a university infection prevention specialist in the early days of the pandemic. It was his inspiration that kept her going. The behavior towards Fauci, throughout and since the pandemic is not only absolutely appalling, but a sign of a bigger issue. Everything Fauci said and did was driven by the best intentions for our country. There are plenty of people in Washington, D.C. who say and do things more for themselves than for our country, but Tony Fauci is not one of them. And so the public then, what's the one last thing they remember about Dr. Fauci? Well, if he would happen to die today, it would be that committee hearing. What was he hiding? What was he doing? This sort of thing. And the questions about, like what color tie are you wearing? And what color is the carpet? And he did not answer those. The one legal eagle that was being interviewed by the news people said, well, as soon as you answer something, then you open up. You've waived your privilege, and then you got to answer everything. And these people are not in any way or form going to give you questions or accept your answers without blustering in their own ignorance about what they think. And so, I think probably things were done wrong during pandemic, but it was new. And science, science is what? Trial and error. For a minute, you see, come up with the best plan you can, and you try it and see what happens. You make changes. You try it. You have other people work on the same thing. They try it out. You try to get it done so it's right. And I know I was very happy to get the shots. And I never got COVID. Friends and family of mine who did get COVID after the shots, it was a very mild case. They didn't die like some of those early people did. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. They're mad because he closed schools. But the prevailing evidence then said, stay away from people until we get rid of this disease, until we get the shot, the medicine that you can. And as soon as people had the shots, they opened things up. But you don't know. It could have been one of these Black Death things where millions of people died. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, that's why my whole thing about what do you be remembered for? I'm just afraid that in many cases, Dr. Fauci is going to be remembered for that last hearing instead of all the good things that people, are writing. They're trying to get people to see that this man has a magnificent history of helping people and saving lots of lives through his work in public health investigations.
So Dale, why would you guess the Republicans are after Dr. Fauci so hard right now, presently?
Yeah, it's hard for me to guess because it's hard for me to comprehend. But they need somehow, he worked for Trump and he worked for Biden, and they have lots of clips of Trump praising him, and there's records of this, and someone Trump really respects, and now I can't think of the name, which is not good. But guy said, this is the best guy in the country, maybe in the world, that you want working for you on this. And that was Dr. Fauci. And so I don't know. I think they're trying to, there were some economic problems. And they say that the kids fell behind their schooling and this sort of thing. So they're trying to blame all that on him rather than on the government ineptitude.
Okay, I have a theory. Could I share that?
I would love hearing it.
Well, here's my theory of why they're after Dr. Fauci presently. We're presently in an unpopular war in the Middle East. One, presently, we're in inflation where groceries, are up maybe 50%.
Yeah.
You combine those two, and who was it? Carville for Clinton always said it's economy stupid. Uh-huh. There's no way the Republicans can present the economy and make people happy. There's no way they can present that war and make people happy. And so the only way they can protect themselves is go after this doctor.
They started the war to get Epstein off the front page, and now they need to do something else to get the war off the front page. This is a ongoing thing. And this war is just crazy because he keeps saying how wonderful everything is, how well it's going, but it's not. And we're running out of these Patriot missiles now. Our stockpile is getting low. And they say that, they send up a missile that costs millions of dollars to shoot down a drone that costs $20,000. Well, you can't keep doing that for very long.
No.
And it's just absolutely crazy that no one had enough influence with President Trump to say to him, this is not going to work. There's so many ways this thing can go south that, we don't need to be doing this. But, he had promised not to do it. He said he would not get us involved with any foreign war, but he was so sure that they would knuckle under. Well, those people, they don't knuckle under. They'll sit there for 1,000 years and wait to get back at you.
Yeah.
That's their history. So, but nobody reads anymore.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Dale.
Well, I don't know what for. It's a very depressing way to start. I feel like the whole 20 minutes has been a drag on everybody.
That was a good one. I do want to end this first half of our 3-half section with some good things.
All right, good things.
This is Katie Balvin's 10 Good Things of the Week.
Okay.
Number 10, a great doctor, often hard to find, but when you find yours, you know everything will work out as it's meant to. Number 9, coffee with just the right splashes of sugar-free syrups. Number 8, Amy's sweet meow and purr as she begs to give her love. Number 7, slipping into bed after a full day. Number 6, giving John a gentle hug after a long day at work. Number 5, memories of fishing with Dad and David. These were some of my best days of my childhood. Number 4, the feel of my paintbrush as it flows across the clean canvas. Number 3, a sibling who is more than a sister, but also a best friend. Number 2, basketball, the feel of the ball beneath my hand as a teammate sprints down court, impossibly alone. And number 1, sunshine on my face and a walk around town.
Yeah.
Just little things make us happy. So
And it's the little things that make you happier than any big thing you could get involved with.
Yeah.
We talked to you a couple of weeks ago about the kid that hung himself over his brand new Ferrari. That Ferrari didn't bring him the happiness he was needing, and he ended up taking his own life. And so, it's the little things that keep us going.
It is. It's wonderful to walk outside and feel the sun on you.
Yeah.
It is a great feeling. You're right.
We were over at a Airbnb and it was at a farm out in the country. And, it been so hot and humid, and then the weather changed, and we went outside on the patio and sat in the chairs, had the little fire going, and just let the wind, the cool wind blow over us and just, talk for a couple hours. And those are great times. Great memories.
The smell of the wood with that, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a wonderful day. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We'll be right back. The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. The Steve Brown Arts Center is calling on neighbors, artists, students, and storytellers to lend their energy to our community podcast. We're looking to volunteers to help with recording, interviews, editing, and story gathering. No experience is required, just heart and curiosity. Your voice can help amplify local artists, preserve community stories, and keep creative culture thriving in Buchanan County. If you're interested in joining the team, reach out today and become part of the Steve Brown Arts Center story. A little advice from Abe Lincoln: adhere to your purpose and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. So, your monument. I like that. So Dale, I want to talk repulsion. I look in the mirror and I get a little repulsed.
Repulsive? Repulsion? Yeah.
Repulsion.
Is that deny repulsion is what I have?
No. I haven't seen that in your face about me. You hide your repulsion about me well. Thank you.
Well, I have a very strong stomach. A lot of people will testify to it. So there's so much of it that no, I don't think you should not. You should always look at yourself and think about how your mother would be thinking if she could see you now.
Oh, I like that.
See?
I like that.
Oh.
Yeah. I was walking. I don't know if I told this story on air last week or not.
I sometimes do that. I say, okay, did I say this already?
Yeah. I don't. I was in. It was during Rag Brian. I was walking through the crowd, and I walk like a drunken sailor sometimes. Not to attack sailors, by the way.
Well, they need attacking, so.
But I was walking through these people, and this lady may have had a little bit too much Busch Light, and I walked into her. At least that's what she said, and she said, "I will use the PG version." She said, "Gall dang it."
Yeah.
You walk like a monkey with a shotgun.
She said, I had not heard that, but that really puts a picture on it, doesn't it, though? You know exactly what she means, yeah.
I mean, what was I going to do? I had to laugh.
Well,
It was
sure,
great.
yeah, that's a good line, yeah.
Then I looked at her and I could tell she had too many bush lights.
Yeah.
But that was all right because the humor was good.
Yeah.
So.
Did she spill her beer? Did she have
She didn't have a beer in her
okay,
hand.
right.
No, she had enough beers by that point.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause a lot of times they get really upset if they spill their drink, you know. So,
But anyhow, so I repulsed her a little bit.
Yeah.
But, so here are some questions, Dale. When you're watching a program on TV, have you ever noticed the volume goes up during commercials?
yes, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. That repulses me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we go through these. You may think of some. Here's another one. The fighting over the remote for the volume with someone to control the volume of the television set or the radio.
You let someone else have control of that, or
If I'm with other people, I do.
yeah.
If I'm, yeah.
So I live with a person, and sometimes her hearing aids are in, and sometimes they're not, and so then it's a challenge to get the volume just right. You know, just
Yeah, I understand.
yes.
Number 3, not the space, that personal space. People too close.
Yeah.
The close talkers. The Seinfeld, a whole episode in Seinfeld about the close talkers.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do. And I was in a small cabin. Me and another guy were at a fishing trip up in Minnesota,
Yeah.
a small cabin, and I was making breakfast. Okay, so I was making pancakes and bacon and coffee, and nothing real fancy. But he's out there, and he's just kind of hovering over me, just right behind me. And I know what he wants to do is to find some way to help. But I had to say, hey, don't do that. Get away from me. Sit down over there, and I'll tell you when there's something you can do. Because I just couldn't, he was just there, right close. And his intentions were very, he just wanted to be of help. But I just can't work this way, go away. So.
The another thing that repulses me is when you plug in you used to have to plug in your TV, then you had a VCR, then you had about 4 other things that you had to plug in, and you only had 2 outlets.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy.
Yeah. When we first moved into our house, on the counter, there were 2 plug-ins, and you have the toaster in one and the coffee pot in the other. But if they were both going at the same time, they would blow the switches, So you had to make your toast and have it then plug in the coffee and make the coffee. So it wasn't too long after that we had an electrician come and say, okay, we need to rewire this thing. So but and that was... even though that's what you have to do every now and then, you'd slip. It just you shouldn't be having to do that kind of thing. So
no, you can't think like that in the morning. You're not that sharp in the morning.
I like the not Home Alone, but Christmas Story movie where they have the Christmas tree plugged in, and all the other outlets or all the other plug-ins are coming into this one outlet, and the sparks are flying every time he touches it, and they just live that way without any worry about an electrical fire in the middle of the night. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I read something once that said that like toasters, those on-off switches that they have are not real strong, and that you shouldn't just leave them plugged in all the time. So I never do. I unplug everything. Like toasters, coffee pots, anything like that. I don't let chargers go during the night. It just, I don't want to die because something stupid happened, But
here is one that I went through yesterday. Someone was riding my bumper, passed me, got ahead of me, and then just sat about 2 feet in front of me. I mean, he passed me, showed me that.
Yeah.
But then he just sat there. I mean, he got nowhere, but he couldn't be behind me. He had to be in front of me.
Yeah. So did you pass him back or?
No, I changed lanes and there was so much. It was in Cedar Rapids in that high traffic area.
Yeah. No, I hate people that pass me and then pull in and they're too close because I don't like to be too close to anybody in front of me. I hate it when they pull in too quick and they just sit there. You're gonna go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy drivers out there.
What about the going, sorry for those of you listening during supper time. What about going out to eat and having to go to the bathroom at a restaurant and someone didn't know enough to put the seat up?
Oh, well, I guess I'm not familiar with that.
Right.
But it hasn't happened to me.
That has to be hard for females.
Yeah.
Difficult for females.
Yeah.
That's got to be a nightmare.
Well, I read the thing once. It says to men, if you're tired of the women yelling at you about not putting the seat up, go in the sink. And so, I thought, well, I had never thought of that. It's not something I would say, oh, there's the answer to my problem. But actually, I did.
You should go in the sink. Don't tell me this.
No, but we were a bunch of privates, and we went to a motel. We had a weekend off, so we went to the motel in Anaheim, right across the street from Disneyland.
Okay.
And 2 of the guys rented the room for the weekend, and then 6 or 8 of us stayed there.
Yeah.
Like we used to do when you had no money. And the guys have been drinking pretty good, and one guy was urinating in the stool, and the other guy, he used the sink. And I had never seen anybody ever do that in my little Hazleton days, So it was quite a little shock to me. But I can honestly say I've never done that myself or even wanted to do that myself. No. But that was the answer to this guy's problem, and so it was kind of crazy.
All right. So is it appropriate to no? We'll leave that alone. So this is the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network. What about the sleeves that pull a disappearing act? So you're doing the dishes.
Okay.
You pull your sleeves up.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing dishes, all of a sudden the sleeves start coming down. I hate those sleeves. Yeah. That's repulsive.
Yeah. I don't like long sleeves when you're doing something like that because I don't know if you've ever had long sleeve and you wash your hands or something. You have to reach up for the towel and the water runs down your arm under the sleeve. Oh, I hate that feeling. Yeah. I just hate that feeling. And I don't know why, but it's something. Yeah. So, there's an art to rolling sleeves up.
Yes,
there really is. And you used to have these fatigues, we call them utilities, but you could roll up so they had to be rolled just right, and the same on both arms, and they would be right above your arm, be about that wide. Perfect. The folds were in just perfect folds.
Yeah.
And some guys could do that really, really well, and other guys needed somebody to help. And you do that real well?
No, I need someone to help me.
That's right. So, but it's a good look, though.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it's a real good look. Yeah. And you could wash all the dishes you wanted and not get your sleeves in.
There you go. All right. So let's talk. I went through this today as I was doing paperwork for the Steve Brown Arts Center. Wednesday is my paperwork day. The grammar police. Okay. Does the grammar police bother you? And you're a pretty well-read, well-written person.
Yeah, well, I'm a grammar policeman in some ways. Yeah, so, because I notice certain things that people do. Yeah. And that's incorrect, but I never call them on it unless I'm related to them.
There you go. Unless you're related. Okay. Oh, thank goodness you're not related to me. The grammar police at one time used to bother me, and there and there and there they are. There as in belonging to, and there as far as a place, and they are.
I used to give my kids a spelling test.
Yep.
And I said, write this sentence and say, they're very happy that their dog is standing over there, and see if they can do the theirs right.
Right.
So, and then my other one was, write a letter to Mrs. Wright right now. See if they can do the rights correctly.
Correct.
Yeah. And it was hard for them.
Oh, yes.
But they realized, because I know I was in college, the first important paper I handed in as a freshman in college. Remember, I've been out of school 4 years. Yeah. And I had used the wrong there many times. And the gal, they were just circled in red, and I thought, I don't know, but I felt really stupid.
Right. At one time, and I'll admit, and I always argue this, and it's a terrible argument. It doesn't make it better. Hemingway and was a terrible speller.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was a state champion speller.
Oh, was she really?
She
Okay.
was. She was proud of that.
Yeah, I bet.
And I was the worst speller in Cresco, Iowa. And that bothered her. Bothered her a lot.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with many things. They all, I'm sure as people listen to my grammar on this podcast, their Republican side puckers. I try.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the one you hear most often is people will say they've seen something.
Yeah.
And you need to have seen. I have seen. Yeah. And so, but you hear that all the time where people misuse that. Even like newscasters and this sort of thing. People who that somebody missed that in the editing somewhere and so on. But again, it's not the end of the world. That people, it's just something that you notice if you had. And again, I wouldn't be this good with it, except I had to teach it all these years.
Right.
Elementary English class, and so that's why a lot of those guys in Jeopardy say they study junior high kinds of stuff. That's where they study because it's quick and easy. The facts are there, and not a whole lot of other, and that's how they learn a lot of stuff to answer questions with. And so, teaching elementary school, you learn a lot of stuff that a lot of people had in elementary school, but they didn't ever worry about it again.
Right.
But you have to do it every year after year. Why? Pretty soon you're pretty good at it. So,
when I was 20, if the grammar police came out on me, it harmed me. It bothered me. It offended me.
Yeah.
I'm 65 years old now, and I welcome being corrected.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I would say you think it's I could talk the way I want to talk.
I'm not. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't mean I'll remember it.
Yeah.
I welcome being corrected.
Yeah.
Though,
I misspeak all the time, and I try to self-correct myself.
Yeah,
and even out loud. But I think it's like if you were at a job interview or something like that, it says something to people if you speak correctly. I think it makes you stand out over the, I come here to,
right.
You need to be able to present yourself well. And so.
Well, that brings me to the final one here, Dale, the basic manners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of social graces. I'm sure one or two people are better looking than I am. And so I do have, I try to overdo my manners.
Yeah.
I try to say thank you and please. I try to open the door for people. I try to hold a chair. I try to stand when I meet people. I don't always do that.
Yeah.
Manners are my defense for the lack of things that I have, and I do work on that.
Okay. Well, I think that's commendable, and people will remember you for that.
I think so. Yeah. I hope so.
And and I remember growing up thinking a lot of this manners things that's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you can see some sense to it, and it does make an impression on people. It makes you feel better too that you're showing respect to people.
Yeah.
But I used to get so mad at everybody would treat women with kids' clothes. Like the old movies or whatever. And you think, geez, that woman, she doesn't have a job. She got a cook and a maid in her house and everything. She gripes at her husband about this or that. I think if she doesn't have enough money, she ought to go get a job. And they all had, gowns that they wore. And it's just used to get disgusted with them. And you learn a lot.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. This is T-Brown Arts and Podcast Network. Dale, you have a little article there. I found, I'm reading this book to people in the history, the greatest stories never told. Right.
There's one more thing I wanted to do out of this book, because I thought this was interesting. It's called American Pie. Okay. And you ever wonder how things get their names? How they came up with Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, or how they came up with hamburger or anything, like that. And I found this very interesting because you never would have guessed this in a million years. So it's called American Pie. Okay. In the summer of 1947, the United States went UFO crazy. After an object that many believed to be a flying saucer crashed near Roswell, New Mexico, there was a frenzy of sightings of unidentified flying objects around the country. California inventor Walter Frederick Morrison, hoping to cash in on America's sudden UFO obsession, created a toy that flew like a saucer. He and a partner started selling these flying saucers in California, but sales were hardly out of this world. Morrison went back to the drawing board and developed a vastly improved model that he named the Pluto Platter. It became a big hit with California college kids, which is how it came to the attention of the brand new Whammo toy company. Remember Whammo?
Yep.
All right. In 1957, Whammo started distributing Pluto platters across the country, promoting them heavily on college campuses. When one of the Whammo founders visited Yale University, he found students there had been playing a lawn game for over 30 years in which they tossed around metal pie tins. Just as golfers shouted 4, the students throwing the pie tins shouted out the name of the pie company emblazed on them, Frisbee. Whammo, already wondering if Pluto was passé, adopted the name Frisbee, altering the spelling in the process, and a national craze was launched. Walter Frederick Morrison would do almost anything to market his Pluto platters. He was selling them out of his trunk on a street corner when the young founders of Whammo, Rich Neer and A.K. Mine, first approached him to buy the rights to the project. And this I didn't know. In its prime, the Frisbee Pie Company boasted a fleet of 200 trucks that delivered 80,000 pies a day. Workers in the Bridgeport, Connecticut pie factory who threw around the pie tins on lunch break were arguably the world's first Frisbee aficionados. The guys who really liked it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that's how Frisbee got its name from a pie.
I love that.
So, all right. There's a 0 on the board. How about that?
And this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We'll be right back. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're back for our third half of the show. A quick public service announcement. Remember, we're looking for neighbors, artists, and storytellers to lend their energy to the community podcast. We're looking for volunteers to help with recording interviews, editing, and story gathering. No experience required, just heart and curiosity. Your voice can help to amplify local artists, preserve community stories, and keep creative culture thriving in Buchanan County. So Dale, remember that we have a jam session every third Sunday at the Jesup Public Library. And
so that would be
that. Let's see here.
When was the first? The first was on Saturday, right?
The first, so second
Sunday, 2, 9,
the 16th.
16th. Okay.
So a week from this coming Sunday.
Okay. I'll be here, I think.
All right. Don't forget that we're showing the collection of the Steve Brown Arts Center at M's presently. It's a collection of about 15 different artists there right now. So you get into M's Coffee Shop and check out that collection for the month of August. That'll be there till the end of August. Don't forget the Wandering Tables coming to an area near you. Don't forget it. Madison Sherban is showing her pictures at the Jesup Public Library. She is one of the owners of the Farmer's Wife here in Jesup. Don't forget the 24-hour Mustang camera sponsored by Joe's Pizza in Independence in Manchester. And the Little Free Art House that's located just to the north of the administrative building outside of the Independence Public Schools. Dale, I know you have a story there. What do you have?
Well, this is about concentrated animal feeding operations. I didn't know that's what they were called, but that's what these big confinement places are called. And this was a letter to the editor, and it talks about Minnesota is number 2 in the number of, they call them CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations. Okay. They're concentrated together in big buildings. And Minnesota has about 1,400. They're number 2 in the country.
How far ahead are?
Well, I was in that. Iowa, number 1, has over 15,300 of those things. That's why when you drive down the road, you get that little whiff, and it's somewhere off there. But So they are smelly. Okay. This author is a woman named Norma Cook Everest from Mason City, and she says that it's a large societal issue, the concentration of wealth in fewer and fewer hands. It says the Agriculture Policy Review from Iowa State University Center for Agriculture and Rural Development states that institutional and corporate ownership of land in Iowa has increased from 17% of Iowa farmland acres in 2002 to about 40% of farmland acres in 2022. The trend has continued in the past few years. Iowa law bans publicly traded corporations from owning agricultural land. So as a result, no publicly owned corporations are top farmland owners in Iowa. The state's largest corporate landowners are either family-owned agribusinesses, private investment funds, or nonprofit. The story gets even more interesting when we look at who actually owns the Iowa farmland in question. Stein Seed Company owns over 25,200 acres. This company is controlled by Harry Stein, worth an estimated $10 billion. Summit Agricultural Group owns over 13,000 acres. Its founder and executive chairman, Bruce Rasteller, has over $2 billion of assets and is a well-known mega donor to the Republican Party and has been called an Iowa kingmaker. And Deseret Trust Company owns about 20,000 acres, and this is an investment arm of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They used to talk about farming is farming and mining is mining. And when you mine, you take out and you put nothing back, whereas in farming, you take out, but you're constantly putting back into the soil, keeping the soil so that the soil will produce year after year. It's not just a one-time thing. And these big groups like this are not interested. They're interested in profits now. And so what they're doing is by buying up all this farmland, they're making it impossible for people like you and I to become farmers because they will whatever it takes to get the land. And so over the past 25 years, the statewide average for an acre of Iowa farmland went from $1,857 in 2000 to $11,549 in 2025. Now, if you just went with inflation, it would have gone from $1,800 to $3,600. So it went a lot farther than it will clear up to $11,000. The massive surge in, this is the Iowa State University again, the massive surge in institutional and corporate land ownership has significantly impacted the cost per acre. The massive number of CAFOs, according to the Register's article, generated 107.6 million tons of manure last year, contributing to the high nitrate levels in the state's water. According to the National Institute of Health, drinking high levels of nitrates in your water increases your risk of colorectal, bladder, thyroid, and kidney cancers. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency limits nitrates to 10 milligrams per liter. However, newer studies link cancer to levels even lower than 3 to 5 milligrams per liter. The concentration of wealth has unintended consequences that must be paid. The default payer has traditionally been the have-nots, and as the wealth gap continues to grow, more and more of us will find ourselves as part of that group, meaning that the cancer rate from these large groups that own all this land, that have all these concentrated animal feeding operations, making all these millions of tons of manure that gets in the waterways, and so it affects all of us. And so it's not just the haves and have-nots, it's the have-nots being affected by the haves in very detrimental ways. And so something to think about. And I don't know what the answer is, but the answer, there are some places where they're advocating there has to be a buffer around every stream, every waterway, every slough that there can, and I can't remember what they're talking about different, but then the farmers saying, well, that's our land. Are we going to get paid for the lack of production and this and that? And so it's a very complicated issue. But I said before, clean air, clean water, you can't live here without it. And so we need to take steps in this state to do something about that. And so far, these big companies give a lot of money to politicians, and they don't do very much.
You know, I have family that is in the tiling industry, and the laws for tiling are terrible. I mean, you can run water basically where you want, as long as you get it off your property.
Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, it is. Jesup School went through that problem when they changed, when they built certain things. They had water backing up because water was run from a certain area. Then the Jesup School ran the water into that field to the west of the school. Then that field ran that water to the golf course. Then the golf course ran that water to the stream. Well, by the time it got to the stream, that water had a lot of chemicals.
Yeah.
We can't win, Dale.
Yeah, no. You can't, and there's so many things happening, with the water, and then with the storm, the fires. You get fires and drought out west. You got floods up the east, and you got the huge temperatures, 100 degrees for many, many days in a row in many places, and the wildlife in the oceans, their whole patterns are changing where they're coming north much quicker, or they're living in areas they've never been found. There are a lot of sharks around the San Francisco area, and those huge waves that are coming in now along the coast. And so I don't know how long I think we're going to have to change the way we live on this planet over time, and not too much time if we're going to survive. Or maybe we just fly to another planet. I think that seems to be what they're putting most money into, is how can we get the hell out of here?
I don't understand how, obviously a lot smarter people than myself are working on that, but what a great challenge to get us to survive on the moon or on Mars I can't take Sadie for a walk just right outside on the moon very easy.
Yeah, no, that would be you get in the history books probably.
Yeah. All right, well, Dale, what else do you have? I see you got something about Jesup cross country football and volleyball there.
They put the schedule of the fall sports in the paper, so I thought I would help keep track. And just the August 27th, 28th, that weekend is when it looks like things are starting. Well, volleyball, they're starting with some scrimmages earlier. But now cross country, I never could get into. I had kids that ran cross country, so I would go to the cross country meets, and you'd watch them start, and then you would run across the field to watch them go by, and then you run maybe one other place to watch them go by, then you run to the finish line to watch them finish.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, this was not a lot of fun, there's no ball or anything. But the cross-country kids, they work hard, and so usually the people that are out there are relatives, friends and relatives to see them run. Football, which I will go to see, they start versus Dyke New Hartford, which is always a challenge, on the 28th. And they're playing at Jesup. First two games, August 28th and September 4th, are both at home. And so the Dyke New Hartford and Vinton Shellsburg are the first two games. And I don't know if any of these schools, powerhouses or anything, I don't know anything about them. And I haven't read anything about that. But the last game is against Hudson, at Hudson. And so that's always seemed like a good game, the Jesup and Hudson play. So
you and I may have to dress warm and go to that.
Well, it'd be nice, because that's, in October. It could be cold, yeah.
Yes, it could.
And then volleyball, of course, is starting. The girls are starting with a scrimmage in Waverly Shell Rock, and then another one at Cascade. Before the first match at home is on the 25th of August. And versus Abington, Parkersburg, Nashville, Plainfield, and New Hampton are all coming. So it must be, what would you call that?
A quad.
Oh, okay. A quad, okay. Yeah. Did you ever go to the high school volleyball games? Or
when I taught, I used to try to go to all home events.
Yeah.
I was proud to say that, plus it was free entertainment.
Yeah, okay, well.
So I used to go a lot.
Yeah. I never been a real fan of volleyball. Just, they got church, they've been out of school 20 years or whatever, I don't know. But it's like a church thing or something, some group, and they had a volleyball net. We're supposed to play volleyball. And so you're out there and you're jumping and this sort of thing. And next day, my back hurt so bad because I'd stretched all those muscles that hadn't been stretched for a long, long time. And I thought, I'm never doing this again. And I have not. So,
well, thank you. Thank you, Dale. School is starting.
School is starting the 24th.
Yeah.
And all the old school employees that are retired are meeting on the 24th, first day of school. And you never seen so many old people smile in your whole life. They're just very happy that school is starting again, but they're not having to be there. And so they liked it while they were doing it, I think. But it's just, it's time to do other things. And so,
I had 35 years of teaching, and I love my job. But when I retired, Dale, I come to retirement. If I knew how good retirement was, I'd have retired at 30. It's that good.
You get that same feeling of being a grandparent. It just,
okay.
No, there are times in your life when you're like, when you graduate from high school and think, oh, all right, I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a weight off your shoulders. And then you build the tension back up and, okay, this is my last day in the service. I'm going to get out and I will be. And then you go to college and you got 4 years goes by and, okay, I'm done with college. No more of those classes and this sort of thing. And then you get a job. And then it's tension already, but that lasts a long time, 30 years or so. And then you say, oh, I'm going to retire. Oh, then you get that relief feeling again. That weight is off your shoulders. You're not responsible. And so there are certain times in your life that you just feel that weight lift off, and it's really, really nice. And so
I've had this conversation lately with a friend. To not be contract is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I am my own boss, even though I work for somebody. If I wanted to give my 2-week notice, they can't say you're contracted, you got to stay.
Sure. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not contracted.
It's interesting watching John Klotzbach because he just retired recently.
Yeah.
And you try to make an appointment with him for something or other. And, he's doing something for his church, or he's doing something for this group or that group that he has a schedule around. And I know he's going to do something for us on Thursday, but he's taking a friend to the hospital. Not sure he'd be back by 2, so we schedule it for 3. He's a driver for someone, take him to the hospital. And so he is really taking advantage of the fact that he is free from work now, and all the help he can give and involvement he can get. Which, it's just wonderful to see him do that.
Yes, it is.
We all go through that. And then as you get older, you think, well, you start cutting back on those things to push. I have nothing to do. What should I do? But he's doing a lot of good volunteering. I just think that's wonderful. So.
He is. John is awful good for the Steve Brown Arts Center too. He helped us build.
Well, he's
build
encouraging.
Yes,
he has positive things to say.
Yeah.
And which you need that, because most people don't say anything.
No,
they don't. But he has positive things to say and seems to enjoy the podcast, and so it keeps us going, I think. Everybody needs a little something,
That's right?
You need a little uplift and somebody to say something nice to you. So that's his job, see?
There you go. All right. Well, if you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. Don't forget, we have the 24-hour Mustang camera sponsored by Joe's Pizza in Independence, and a Manchester Hawk camera in Manchester at Joe's Pizza. We are blessed to have Nick Thomas's art at Sandra and Gary Akehoff's house as you go by that on the Littleton Road, on the barn there, and as well as in Gedney's Bakery and Coffee House. I'm Jim Gillespie with Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Our thanks as always to Kelly Seahouse and the Heartland Business and Event Center for allowing us to use their podcast equipment and studio. Thanks to the audience and those 1 or 2 people that listen to us every week for bringing these stray dogs into your life.
We love you guys.
We do. Remember, each day is about little victories.
Okay.